Welcome back. Round 4, race 8 of the Japanese Super Touring Championship, and time for some reverse grid action. Hideki Muto, fastest lap in race 1, but that's not why they're on pole. They finished 10th, and as you can see, Nomura 9th, P2. Same can be said for your race winner Takahashi, is 10th on the grid. Hello again, Adrian Michael Reese here as per usual, alongside me, Michael Swillerton. Swinny, we've got to start getting used to these Japanese visits, and I think we have found a decent sort of plan of action. It doesn't make us seem as jet lagged as we were for race 1 at Fuji.
Yeah, absolutely. And the important thing is we now know our way to the track. So when we come here later in the year for the short course variants, we won't get lost this time.
That being said, the next round is another slightly secluded, slightly new-ish venue, High Speed Ring. One more to go, but I think we've got a route planned for that when we come back to the islands after a jaunt worldwide. But before that, we've got to find out what happens in race 8. Away go the four-wheel drives, already trying to make an effort aside from the rear wheel and front wheel drive cars. The two Chaser Motorsports Crown athletes have had a decent up, but there's Winterbottom in the second of the Genesai with a wobble already. Swinny wincing alongside me as Narusai gets an absolute flyer. Toyota obviously putting the effort in, putting the motivational aspect in, as well as Ingram tries to put a
I think Ingram
bit
was
of a pin in as
pushing
well.
Naruse down the straight there to try and get both of them past the Crown athlete, and it's kind of worked, although with a bit of argy-bargy. I say it's kind of worked. Butcher's already got his way past, well, was past Naruse for a split second there. Meanwhile, Winterbottom's fallen all the way down to 7th after that piece of deja vu at turn 1.
I thought we'd only seen it once. Anyway, 100R. The Subaru's still in tow, not fallen back as per some of the tropes we've seen in reverse grid races. Ingram now into third place before the anti-camber hairpin.
Yeah, Naruse just slammed the door on him with a good run to the apex.
So Muto leading. E-Day doing his own team proud in his own efforts, more than vindicated this season, but the more of this, the better funded it will be for season 2, especially if Toyota decide to perhaps change their mind about things.
I doubt they will, although E-Day's already, I mean, the results are already shown, because there are a couple of new little associate sponsor stickers on that car that weren't there for round 1. I will let the audience play spot the difference there.
Yeah, it's somehow a little bit greener than there's a bit more red to the black and white that we've always known from the traditional Chaser livery way back when. Across the line for lap 1, a bit of a spread already, a bit of a gap to the midfield. Propping up that is one of the Mercedes and another. Can't let but say it again, the hallmark is the oldest possible Super Touring car going in that Honda, but Mercedes have fallen stagnant for the first lap, it must appear. So Muto still leading. There's E-Day.
Yeah,
Bit of a gap to Ingram.
E-Day just keeping Hideo Muto honest here. Not letting him get away too much. We'll see whose tyres hold out better, because of course E-Day being the rear-wheel drive car, his fronts are going to be in better shape at the end of this race compared to Muto's four-wheel drive Genesis.
And they've already formed a gap, but gaps early around here, I mean, the form book would imply they're going to end up falling back into the midst of the mid-pack, Ingram and Rusai notwithstanding. Much like the Subarus managed to gain on Butcher and the Mazdas in race 1. Bottom of the roller coaster then, Winterbottom there in 6th still. That effort fell flat.
Now that he's had his slide out of the way, I think Winterbottom is the quicker car out of the this little group of 3 here. Wouldn't surprise me to see Winterbottom move his way past these two at some point over the course of the race. So for now, it's all just line astern, formation flying. Though having said that, with that last sector, as I said in last race, it's kind of built for open wheel race cars, so it's going to feel clumsy in these touring cars here. So line astern is probably the best way round.
Yeah, we've been very quiet about. We've kind of name dropped them a few minutes into race 1, but Honda is probably the quietest weekend so far. Points paying positions, yes, but for the equivalent of the factory effort in the Worlds, we're expecting them to do a lot better around here.
Yeah, it seems to be the way with the FL5 Civic. It's quick out of the box, but it does require a bit of work to get it fully cranked up and going. And it can be a bit finicky with its setup as to what it likes and what it doesn't like. So you do something to the car that you think should work because it's worked with other front-wheel drive chassis in the past, and this Civic just doesn't go forwards with it on.
And in turn, if it's lacking a Jason Thompson, that might explain why. I wonder if Nicky Lammers would be in a similar position to the likes of Scaife or Suzuki. That remains, the act of virtual racing.
Well, I'm sure if you ask nicely, Honda could put on an exhibition race for all of its drivers, including some of the privateer Euro drivers like Heinz Winkelhock.
Certainly so.
Give them all an identical Civic, or maybe like an older Integra or something.
What might be? And what might be is ED gaining on Muto right now.
As I said, keeping him honest, he does seem to be gaining a little bit. There's still a good few car lengths between the two cars here.
Muto putting in, obviously, it's the 3rd lap now, so maybe that fastest lap is going to be eclipsed, because that's already a second faster than they did in race 1. Not this time by. Didn't trigger anything newer, but E-Day is very much close on the fastest lap front as well.
Yes, the fact that both E-Day's personal best here and Muto's overall fastest lap, as Muto gets his tail out a little bit through turn 1 there, that might hurt him. But yeah, the fact that these two are already beating race 1 fastest lap times, A, says something to the overall track temperature and the time of day we're at, and B, shows that Muto is kind of running scared right now and that E-Day has the pace.
Whilst nobody else does. Now we finally see Ingram, but he, in that shot, can't see second and first. Not from this happen. Same for Nomura,
who's got his way up to 4th with Winterbottom in 5th. So Naruse has lost 2 spots here. As I said in race 1, I feel like the short wheelbase is working against the Toyotas and the Mazdas and the Mercedeses.
It's almost looked like that 100R shot then looked like that car was still struggling to get round it.
Entirely possible. If you've got lift off oversteer on corner entry and then on power understeer, that thing is going to be a bit of a nightmare to try and get it to rotate properly in the way that you want it to.
More through the bottom of the hill, that looked very stable, all things considered. But 6th and 7th for putting all your eggs into the Japanese Championship, still not a good look.
It's still Type 2, both cars in the top 10. There's only 2 other teams right now that have got that going on, which is the Privateer Crown Athletes and the 2 Genesis G70s. Everyone else has got 1 car in and 1 car out, or in the case of Mazda here, both cars out. So it's not the end of the world for them. It's still a solid points haul, even if it's not a huge points haul that they might necessarily want or expect.
But think about it, those Chaser Team Crown Athletes are the same cars they ran in the Worlds, and they are completely outshining them right now, being 2nd and 4th for a shoestring effort.
I think that's down to... This is what's on show right now is what happens when you've got a car with 2 years worth of development on it. That Crown Athlete is essentially in its prime right now. And this new team are just, you know, E-Day took all of his, and his race engineer took all of their notebooks from the World Series, and they're just applying it to the cars now in their new paint job, and it's clearly working for them. Although, having said that, E-Day dropping off the back of Muto here. Ingram is now in the shop.
The gain is being made by Ingram. Obviously his first time around here as well. How was he like after race 1 this, Woody?
Yeah, he was good. He said he's getting bored of seeing the same 2 cars on track over and over and over again, which is these 2 Crown Athletes. So he's going to be... I think he's a little bit fired up and wants to be in front of E-Day because he wants to play with someone else in this series for once. And there he is, on the back of him. Ooh, having a look down the inside, little tap round the corner.
The game is afoot.
A little hurry up, as it were.
Nomura might be gaining ground too, so...
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be a 4-car train for the lead. I thought Ingram was going for a pit manoeuvre then. Yeah, Ingram is he's deliberately going left and right, filling the rearview mirrors of E-Day just to completely unsettle him. Although...
Then the Mitsubishi doesn't have the power, despite
it just
the
doesn't have the straight line speed. Look at that. And E-Day looks like he might have a runner Muto for the lead here now. So Ingram gave him the hurry up, and hurry up he certainly has.
So whilst there's a little bit of a spread, it's still everyone hurtling towards turn 1 right now, despite only now the leaders get to the braking area, or the second braking area, shall we say.
Yeah, turn 3. Although it's as you said, everyone is slowly starting to close back up again. Muto had a good lead with E-Day in tow, and here we are looking at several cars and seeing a lot of cars in the same shot because we're all catching.
Ingram looked to be moving around the outside of that hairpin, even though I thought it wasn't possible. The potential was still there. Exit at 100R towards the second hairpin coming up. That move is on.
He's playing the intimidation game right now. Sends it up the inside. Oh! Both of you missed the apex. Ingram's in front, but that was a little bit rough.
They have been on track before. They might not have been side-over-sider before.
Oh, they've been side-over-sider before, but... Oh, well, that's the wrong place to tap a car.
At least it's still pointing in the right direction, but who's going to be angry out of that? Because Ingram might not have had the full 100% move on, but that retaliation or not, was still not a good look for him, for E-Day.
We've seen E-Day play rough and tumble before. Especially, I can think of a certain Maggiore race in his first year of the World Supers where he got into a certain Mazda 6 and the Mazda 6 driver was not happy about it at the time.
The potential pit manoeuvre. The steward's going to clamp down on that, no doubt. Refer to a World Championship race we've only just recently watched. And the move is the defence is on.
Ooh.
Ingram with the lack of power.
You've got to give each other space, lads.
The Crown Athletes are now swamping
outside.
him. And
that's a bit of a rallycross move, that.
Have this, have that, no, have this. And that means Nomura's up into third. Crown Athlete still a good look, but this is going to be a bit of bad blood by the end of the race.
Yeah, Ingram has just traded one Crown Athlete for another. It's now Nomura's turn to try and take second away from him.
And then goes Winterbottom.
Winterbottom trying to capitalise on the momentum. It looks like he's going to have it in the hairpin. Maybe not.
Those two lefts can lead to a move around the outside if played correctly, but unfortunately Winterbottom's still fifth. And then Narasai and Butcher to contend with behind him.
Yeah, as I said, everyone's just closing up now. So everyone's going to start tripping over each other as they try and make for the head of the train.
Rustad better placed than he was in race one.
Oh.
And E-Day on Nomura. Okay.
Ingram just got mugged by both of them there, I think. Nomura wasn't having any of it. He saw all the games that Ingram and Ide had been playing and decided, no, I'm not playing this. I'm just going to make me way past.
And then
Ingram's not letting it go, though.
Another angry Australian to contend with behind.
The tap, we've all caught. Oh,
there we
go.
Okay, now
that's going to be a steward's inquiry.
In short, TLDR, words.
Yes. We'll get to that when we get to that.
So Muto still scot-free, no involvement whatsoever. Ide
up to second. However, that's promoted Winterbottom to third. So now both Genesis cars are on the podium. That's going to be a huge points haul for them, considering they've had sort of middling results so far.
And that puts Takahashi into the top 8. So, okay.
Just because you're in third doesn't mean you need to show off.
Nobody needs to get.
I think it's because it's downhill. It's the braking zone is downhill, and then you kind of want to trail brake into that corner, which these cars, as we've seen, they have a habit of the back end breaking loose with trail braking. So it's people just pushing just to see how far they can take that, and the car sometimes biting back on it.
That incident has put Narrow-Sandbush up to 4th and 5th. Better place for them, all things considered. Petonia's Mazda in 9th. Better luck for them. They were fairly quiet during race 1 as well, mind. Pootling along, getting the points in. Not causing any drama. I'm looking at you, Ingram. And then a bit of a gap to perhaps Ingram again.
Yeah, he's recovered to 10th place for now. Although Nomura's in 11th, they're not done. They're not done with each other.
Is this going to run? I mean, we do like some exciting racing, but if it's going to be taken to that level of extreme...
I mean, yeah, but we want racing, not a demolition derby at the end of the day.
Exactly. Egg sandwich.
Our top 3 just clicking off the laps by the looks of things. I don't know if Ide's going to have the car to challenge Muto now after that huge fight he had with a Mitsubishi.
I mean, it's still there. It's still travelling in the same momentum as it had previously. I don't think it has shook Ide up psychologically as much as it would have shook up Ingram, perhaps, or even Narusai. Not Narusai.
Nomura.
Whoops.
I know what you meant.
Let's not get that mixed up again because their names are on the side of there was Nomura on both of those cars at some point in early days, just to avoid confusion.
You know, it looks like Ide is now catching Muto, and they're both dropping Winterbottom a little bit. So where it was even Stevens between all 3 cars,
and it is still Ide second.
Both of these cars, of course, have 8-speed gearboxes as well, which helps them through the corners.
And still, Muto's fastest lap on lap 2 is still the fastest lap, even if Ide has managed to shave off another 100th to his personal best.
Yeah, 58.982 to a 58.942. You can see he's trying. He wants another win. He wants to show that he wants to A, really seal the independence title this early in the championship, and B,
statement to make,
show that this car does have life left in it still, which was his whole, his whole intention behind setting this team up in the first place.
String of cars from the lead to about the mid-pack as they traverse through those S's right now. I wonder if that gap is there because of Nomura and Ingram.
Well, Ingram is the last car in that train right now, with Nomura heading up the second train.
I'm converting it with a gap further back then, where it's going to be Ellen Frenson and then Anna Di Grassi. still ahead of one of, if not both.
Both
okay,
the Mercedes are
both
back
of the
here.
Mercedes.
So once again, a
That-
nil plough race for them. It started off well. It has not. Well, the weekend started off well with a good
certainly did.
qualifying position. It's not going to end the same way though.
We're into the final 25% of the race. Muto has managed to expand by a further half a second on his personal best, which kind of meant that E-Day's fastest lap was only a tenth slower.
But E-Day responded on the same lap. Where Muto got fastest lap of the race, E-Day has got a personal best. So both of these cars are trying. Both of these drivers want that win. And you can see that because they've dropped Winterbottom in third, who's now playing with the two Toyotas.
They could still be on for potential podium, or at least one of these two. Still not necessarily a team leader there, despite the worldwide experience of Butcher.
True, but Naruse has been a Toyota driver in some form or fashion for several years now. Whilst this is his first foray into touring cars, Naruse's got plenty of experience in Supras and MR2s and a few off-road excursions in the Yaris's of old, so Naruse's no stranger to being in Toyota machinery either.
And neither is E-Day. Duck to water around here. Tried and tested equipment, just not in the right hands perhaps, but still very good showing from then, despite the shrapnel, shall we say, of a battle with Ingram. And still Muto on a flyer, not the best lap, but still close enough.
Yeah, just a tenth off his fastest. He was a tenth faster than E-Day that lap, so Muto has squeezed the gap out a little bit. But once again, all it takes is for that car to, in one of the heavier downhill braking zones, for the back end to snap round, and him have to do what Winterbottom has been doing, and E-Day is right there to pick up those pieces. And they have both seriously dropped Winterbottom now. There's a huge gap has formed out again, as Winterbottom is now ahead of a very long train.
Proverbial cork all the way down to Pitsonia. Will we get a flash of Ingram? There he is. But that's a bit of a gap still. And there is Nomura again, almost threatening some kind of retaliation to what happened earlier. But then nothing is behind Frenson, so that's going to be a very good look for privateer points for Frenson.
Even if it is just the 2 points for 14th place, it's, when it comes to the privateers, that's a lot. Well, I say that's a lot, and then you look at the constructors' points that Team Chaser are on, and you go, oh well, never mind then.
I wonder what sort of status, if they're going to be in season 2 of JSTC with this, would they be given work status? How good that car was this year?
I don't know if they'll be given work status. One hopes they'll get some decent title sponsorship and be able to make a similar go of things and upset the balance in amongst the works efforts.
And we're on to the last lap, and barring anything crazy happening, it's going to be a good battle for the lead. It's going to be a good battle for third. If Winterbottom's not going to perform any more of those wobble-ons that he has almost every other lap around that first turn.
Camera didn't quite catch it, but I think both Winterbottom and Naruse had deja vu moments at turn 1 there. It looks like the fight is now on for third.
And the Subarus and the Mazda are still there, as is the Honda. But I think that Honda has... I
think that Honda's found its limit for now. Yeah. Though Rustad is actually in front here. Rustad is in front of Takahashi, so race 1 winner down in 8th place. Still top 10, but it's good to see that Rustad's found some speed for race 2 compared to his finishing position for race 1 was not where he wanted to be, that's for sure.
It'll be a very good points haul for their manufacturer effort.
The big loser this weekend is going to be Mercedes. They're going to lose so much ground on everybody else.
Yeah. And they are still very much last in the Constructors' Championship, the way that works out. No need to be a maths genius to work that out. It was just one solitary point in race 1, and that still might be the case by the time everyone exits the final turn. But Muto is going to make Genesis's day their first ever win as a manufacturer, let alone any other form of racing, and another podium finisher in Winterbottom potentially, unless not big enough of a gap. That's going to be a very good day for Genesis as well. Toyota could have done better, especially if there's a well-run privateer car in front of them. Ingram got into the top 10, but they and the Chaser team, Ingram might be wanting to be on the lookout. Degrassi with the final point then. Schumacher not doing enough to get Mercedes' day any more bad than it actually was. Muto with the win and the fastest lap in both races. That's going to be a very enjoyable night for him. And compared to the first race, did fall a bit flat, but I think I know why. That particular battle that led to one of the more major incidents that we've seen in this championship, not that long after the World Super Touring had their specific moment in the back pages. Bad news all round. But we'll have to wait and see what the feedback is like from that incident from the stewards. And you're probably going to have a word with him about that as well, Swinny.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to talk with him because the cameras definitely show one thing, but of course, as we saw with Bathurst, the stewards have access to a lot more, and Ingram will have his opinion, Nomura will have his opinion. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there.
So despite the not mediocre enough for performance, it was Toyota still have their driver in the lead of the championship, Gordon Butcher on 103, Kazuki Katayama 101, Kazuki Ide on 97. That's your top three there. So Ide obviously still privateer championship leader because it's the same points. Gazoo, Mazda Racing still being in the lead of the Constructors' Championship. There was a slow burn from the stern from Genesis because of that race win has put them not only above Subaru but also above Honda into third in the Constructors' Championship. And if that trend is set to continue, they might just be fighting for the Manufacturer Championship with Toyota of all things. Chaser Motorsport fairly clearly out in the lead of the Independence Championship. The Mitsubishis are going to be fighting for second with the potential look of what seems to be the FedEx Mazda. Not one of their finest days, but it's still an inaugural championship that continues to surprise us on the odd occasion, and some very big moments around here as well. How was the weekend for you, Swinny?
Yeah, very entertaining. First trip here, very happy with it. Two good races. I look forward to seeing what happens when we come back here later on in the year for Autopolis Short. The other piece of, I guess, good news, or the positive takeaway from this race weekend, is we are now 8 races in.
Eight races.
8 races
Yep,
in, 8 different winners, assuming my throat allows me to say it.
And you can't get a more entertaining stat than that. We were expecting Toyota to absolutely smash this championship, but even they have only had 2 wins in each of their drivers. There has been Toyotas winning races, but that's the Chaser team with the well presented, on a shoestring, tried and tested Crown athletes. The 2 Mazdas got their wins in at Tokyo. 2 different manufacturers have won here, Subaru in race 1 and Genesis in race 2. And we're going to be flat out at the high speed ring for the first time in a long while. Has there been racing around there? We saw it in testing. I dread to think what's going to happen with the race, man, because of all the banking that is around there, especially turn one, especially the final turn as well. What the lines are going to be like, we shall have to see. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. High Speed Ring is an interesting one. I mean, we were there for the season premiere media day where we went through all the teams and drivers. I am fully looking forward to seeing what that track is going to do, because it probably is going to throw up a very, very weird curveball in the results. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
And whilst we were at Croatia Dragon Trail for the Worlds, the next time you'll see us on your screens is the Maggiore round. Double header with the Euros, but we'll be focusing on the World Championship as per usual. We'll see you then. This is Adrian Michael Rees on behalf of Michael Swinnerton. Goodbye. Good racing, everyone.